everyone, and welcome to the Scratticus Academy. We are back with some more Dunera, and I'm very, very excited for today's episode. But before we start and say hello to everyone, please check out the links that are coming up in chat. It includes Discord, YouTube, and Twitter. If you want to get into a game, head over to Twitter and drop Scrat a DM. If you've missed anything, we have Dunera Players Galore on YouTube, and we also have a channel on the Discord purely for that as well. Also, a huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors who we can do this without in the form of Hero Forge. You will have seen the minis in the preview screen, and you'll see them in the break as well. They're amazing, and I think they've just added a few more extras that you can add to your minis. Like there's a really awesome like shield that's got It's amazing. Go check it out. Also, as I reach down and try not to knock the cat off of the chair because she'll be very angry at me. Mage Hand Breath, which is also dark matter. This is basically D&D in space. I love it, and the book's pretty. Last but certainly not least, the deck of many. You have the deck of many magical moving cards, which I will be incorporating into games next season, which I'm super excited for. And also Humblewood, if you want to go check that out. It's a very wholesome, beautiful book. Once again. Otherwise, before we start, I will quickly say, everyone please go check out Sarah. She cannot be here today. She will be back next week. Please go check out the wonderful things she does. You probably see her name in the Discord pop up very, very often. Otherwise, we will start by saying hi to the lovely Jay Gons Gold. Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. I am Jay, or Jay Gons Gold, and I will be playing Paula Packer, who is a dancer, librarian, curious but skeptical, and I'm excited to get to know the Villadrians a little better, and I don't know, maybe get out of Karnan pretty soon, or prepare to leave Karnan. So very exciting stuff. Very excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. And then we're going to hop down to the very lovely Tour School. Oh, hi.
Hey, how are you doing? Excited to be here and all the fun stuff. I play Tolan Falk, who is a retired seeker who is quickly becoming unretired, and things from his past keep popping up and haunting him. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all comes up. And 22 months, because you all are awesome. Yay!
Thank you. And that you have something to give, if I can remember what it is. Advantage or disadvantage. Otherwise, yes, let's last but certainly not least, I've already said Sarah. Mal! Oh, hi!
Oh, hi, I'm Mal. I play Reese Blackash. He's got a very big wolf and lots of secrets.
I mean, sums him up pretty good. Perfect. So last week we left everyone leaving the Villadrian airships after meeting Axel and Elizabeth, giving a bit of an overview as to why they wanted you to go to Villadria. Sarah's not here this week, but we saw Florence heading back to Aggie's and seeing an image of Charlie. Hello, Raiders. Seeing an image of Charlie in the kitchen playing with the cats before walking out the back door. Paula and Reese had just left the airship, and Tolan and Averick had found the artifact that they'd been looking for so long that had been stolen. But we'll start with Paula and Reese as you leave the airship separately, as Tolan and Averick has divided ways and headed off for the other. Where are both of you going as you step off this airship? The crowds have kind of died down a bit. There doesn't seem to be as much chaos anymore. Some people have lost interest. You can see a lot of people disembarked the ship. But whereabouts are you going, or what are you thinking of?
Well, I know Paula, as she was walking off that airship, she had her head held high and she was acting all confident, trying to impress the Villadrians. But the second that she and Reese step off the airship, she'd probably just kind of bunch her face up and squee with joy and turn to Reese and kind of exclaim, "We're going to Villadria, Reese! Reese, we're going to Villadria!"
Yep.
This is crazy. Aren't you? Isn't this crazy? This is just crazy.
My last day has been pretty crazy, so I don't know that Villadrians and airships top what happened last night. Or the other night. It's been a couple days, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
time.
Honestly, the days have kind of blurred together at this point. It's been a haze through it all, but I don't know. I mean, will actually get to leave Well, I'll get to leave Karnan. I mean, I guess you've spent most of your time outside of Karnan. But have you ever been to Valadria?
Once or twice.
Oh my gosh, it must be so cool there. All the airships and giant libraries, and those people have great fashion sense too. I'm sure they're good dancers. They probably have pretty good dancers in Valadria.
Reese just kind of looks down at himself. It's like, I'm the wrong person to talk about fashion.
What about dance?
I mean, what about dance?
Are you the right person to talk to about dance?
If the situation calls for it.
Have you ever been to a cabaret?
I don't think so.
Well, if you've got nothing better to do, I'm probably not going to have a lot of shifts left at the cabaret if we're going to Valadria. But I was going to work tonight. If you wanted to swing by, it's a pretty good time.
Yeah, I think I can do that after we get Tuva home.
Oh, right, Tuva.
She's literally stood beside you looking up at this conversation. She's got this huge deer, sort of this Silvis, just sort of again watching all of you. And this rucksack is still moving. But she's sort of watching all of you. She's like, I'm gonna go. And but you can't leave Valadria without me. I'm gonna go ask Mum.
All right. If you need help getting home, you can have my cell phone number. And Hollow will kind of be like, do you have a cell phone?
She's like squinting at you. She's like, yes, I have a cell phone, and holds up this very new phone. And like she pulls it out of the denim jacket you do recognize as Charlie's, and holds it up.
Very good. Now, if you ever feel in danger, or you feel like you get scared while walking alone, you can always call me.
And like her and the Silvis, and then her and Brenna sort of exchange a look.
Hala, there's a Silvis and an Anaquai. And the dragon.
She's like, shh. And sort of like walks away. She's like, I will call you if I get into any danger. And you do the same. I'll
And
come
remember
running.
not to talk to strangers, okay?
Why?
Because strangers can be very dangerous.
You were a stranger.
That's true. But I'm also an educator.
She pauses and squints at you. It's like, okay. Give you a bit of like an eye contact sort of thing. It's like, we need to go. This is weird. And starts leading
Just the cute,
like this away.
And Paula will just kind of turn towards Reese and like put her hand to her heart. Isn't she just the cutest?
Yep.
Just that little bundle of energy she is.
I feel like she's a troublemaker.
Oh, well, we know she is. I mean, she has a reputation for breaking and entering.
Useful skills.
Well, useful skills if you're a criminal.
Useful skills if you need them to survive.
I don't know about that, Reese. Well, anyway, I won't keep you around. I'm sure you have things you want to do, but just remember that the cabaret will be open tonight, and I'm gonna go see if I can squeeze in one last dance.
What time should I be there?
Probably around like 11. I probably won't be on until midnight, but.
And where is it?
Well, that's a little complicated. Do you have a map, or on your phone? Do you have the Maps app?
I don't have a phone, Paula.
Oh. Well, it's in a weird location, and I'll kind of like try to explain the landmarks and the old motel that's next to it that has like the big neon sign, but it involves a lot of alleys and kind of like make a left at the dingy corner with the Are
you drawing this out for him? Like, you have a piece of paper.
Yeah.
You can sort of draw it like season tree is here, this is here. You can sort of do something like that. As you sort of get your phone out to check, you can see 3 missed calls from Matthias.
Yikes. Okay. It looks like I have to call back Matthias. Do you have somewhere to go? If you need a place to hang out, my motel room is what's mine is yours.
I appreciate it, but Jonathan already said I could stay with them.
Oh, you and Uncle Ricky have really hit it off. Well, or Jonathan. I guess Uncle Ricky's might not be in a great condition.
But yeah, that's probably gonna head back there.
Okay. Well, mind telling them hi for me?
No, I don't mind at all.
Awesome. And how is Uncle Ricky doing, by the way? I haven't spoken to him since.
I didn't see him today. We were gonna give him lunch, but we got sidetracked by all of that philandry and stuff. Paula, you should write down your phone number for me. I don't have a phone, but I can call you if I need to.
That's a really good idea. And she'll rummage through her bags, and pull out a pen. Can I see your hand? And she'll write down her phone number on Reese's palm. You could transfer that to another piece of paper when you get home, but all of these books here are from the library, and I have pretty strict policy about damaging borrowed books. And the policy is you don't.
It's not the first time I've had to write things down on my own skin. It's fine.
It's a non-toxic pen, so
it's okay, Paula.
But I wouldn't recommend that you like lick your palm right now or anything like that either, because
why? Do you need anything else, Paula?
No, I'm good. I'm great. I'm great. Do you need anything else?
I want to figure out if Paula's actually great.
You can tell that Paula is really excited about the potential of going to Valadris, but she's clearly like preoccupied. Like she's when you first saw her today, she was clearly stressed out, and you could tell she's kind of a mess from when she left, because this morning when she left her motel room, she didn't get ready or anything. It just kind of happened suddenly. So she's still very much disheveled. She's not in her normal like pencil skirt and whatnot. She's wearing like, what was it, a turtleneck and probably sweatpants. So yeah, she's not the Paula that you've met before, but she's excited about Philatris.
Okay. I don't think he answers when she asks how he is, but he sort of awkwardly like puts his hand on her shoulder, and it's just like, big changes, huh?
Exciting changes, that's for sure.
Hard
I'll see
changes.
you later, Reese. Oh, oh, sorry, what was that?
Hard changes.
Oh, well, some of them.
If you don't want to talk about it, it's okay.
No, I mean, yeah, some hard changes. I mean, it's been a lot. You know, what happened the other night was really it's a lot, but necessary, and I'm glad that the truth is coming out finally. If there's anything that Karnan needs right now, it's more answers and truth. And hopefully we'll get some more of that in Philatris.
Maybe. It sounds like they expect us to give them the answers.
Well, I hope their expectations aren't too high, because I know just about as much as you, and you've been here for 2 days, so... But we out here.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad I got to see you again. And I'm glad to see that you're doing okay.
I'm glad to see that you're okay as well. And because he doesn't know how to end conversations, he just walks away.
You see this huge wolf turn and leave with Reese. And
Peace out.
you're stood. There's still quite a few people around, but it's not really busy. People are slowly sort of disappearing from the crowd. And there's a moment where you feel your phone ring again in your pocket. This time you can actually feel like the vibration of the ring, bless you. And your phone is just going off in your pocket as Reese has turned away, and you see this huge wolf. They're just striding through the crowd. People are moving out of the way of this huge wolf more than anything.
Yeah, I frantically check to see who's calling and answer it.
Yeah, it's Matthias. And almost immediately as you pick up, he's just like, why don't you answer your phone? Where are you? What is it like? Are you on there? Did you get on there? I bet you snuck on there.
Oh, you know me so well, Matthias. I totally snuck on there.
What's on there? What do they want?
Oh my gosh, it's awesome. It's so much bigger on the inside than on the outside. And it's marble floors, and it's beautiful and elegant. And they had a secret room. You know, I was first place I went. And
of course you found a secret room.
Of course I found the secret room. And I got this cube, and it showed old Philatris. It was like a hologram. And I also got this. Well,
did you steal it?
Not exactly. I picked it up, and then someone told me I could have it. But I did steal this makeup that doesn't run out, and it puts itself back together if it breaks. And I should probably give it back. You know, especially since I was just telling Reese about how it's not good to be a criminal, but I'm feeling a little hypocritical right now, if I'm being honest. But
you can hear like noise in the background from Matthias. He's like, hang on. He's like, look, do you want to come over and chat? You might have to put up with my mom and my brother, but we can have a cup of tea and talk about it if you want.
Oh, I don't know if it would be, you know, that's like family time, and your mom, and I don't know if that's like appropriate for me to be there with, you know, you and your brother. and your mom. You know, like that's just.
Well, my brother is mainly bedridden, and by that I mean he's lazy. And you hear like just like, who is that on the phone? Who are you talking to? Let me see. Like it's just there's like this. And he's like, I am trying to speak to someone. And there sounds like to be almost like not a fight for the phone, but wants to see who's on the phone. It's like, okay, I'm sorry. In a minute.
And while that's happening, Paula's hands are getting so sweaty that like the phone's like slipping out of her palm, and she's trying to like hold it to her ear.
He's like, Mom, get off. Go. Just this is what I mean by space. I need space, Mom. Like there's it's not like an argument, but they seem to be yelling at each other. He's like, I'm so sorry. What were you saying?
I mean, do you really think it would be a good idea for me to come over?
Yeah, you just want it's just a cup of tea. It's like what we go and do at the cafe.
Right. Yeah, it's just like that. It's just like the cafe, except you and your brother and your mom are there. Yeah.
I mean,
just
I'm happy to lock my brother in his room. I need an excuse.
No, that won't be necessary. I'll come over, and I'll pick up something to eat on the way.
You can if you want. I don't mind. We've got loads of stuff here, and you can hear in the background going, "Why would they need to bring anything? I have everything I need." Like as there's like this, you hear what sounds like a kitchen behind you, which is full. Like you can hear the clanging and everything of pots and pans being moved. He's like, "It's okay. You can just come over. I'll send you the details."
All right. I'll see you soon.
See you in a bit. And you hear, "Mom," as if the thing just sort of hangs up, and you do get the location through your phone.
Paula lets out a deep sigh of anxiety and starts making her way over.
Okay. You head past the season tree. It's probably about a 20-minute walk. You're heading further out of the city. You don't leave the city, but you're heading away from the main sort of bits you're used to. And you stop outside this very small house that's almost squished in between a larger house and a slightly more medium sized house. And it's a little bit higgledy-piggledy. You see a door sort of painted a very sort of soft green color. It's definitely peeling. And there's some windows along the front, and you can hear a commotion on the inside more than anything. A happy commotion. It doesn't seem to be an argument or anything. There are a couple of lamps as you step up onto this almost like decking that hang from the ceiling. It's kind of just after lunch, so it's not dark enough yet for them to be lit. And it's a very simple, very small house. Nothing maybe the archdeacon was used to being in such an elaborate church or anything. This is a simple little house.
I'll go up to the door and kind of dust off try to straighten out my turtleneck, and Paula will look down and see that she's still wearing sweatpants and like have a moment of like utter panic, just like, oh crap, and she'll look through her bag to see if she has anything in it, and she probably just has like her dance uniform, and that will not do. But she's here, so she knocks on the door.
You knock on the door and you almost hear like hurried footsteps towards the door that pause just for a moment. And you see the door handle, this bronze door handle, almost just starts off as a steady turn and then a quick turn and open. And Matthias stands there. He himself, like his hair is standing on end on one side. You can see he's just in his shirt, trousers. He's got like the braces on, like the suspenders on. They're still on one, sort of like half off the side. He's got these really thick, ugly pairs of knitted socks on his feet, and he's like, there you are. Please come in. Don't mind the commotion. It's fine. You come in. Oh, you look nice. And he sort of like looks at the sweatpants and back down again.
Oh, your mom's not very formal, is she?
Oh gosh, no. She's fine. It's what mild warning. She has a lot of energy. She's really nice. It's just, and at that point you see the door to the porch you're standing in gets thrown open, and there is this very, very small round woman there. She's got an apron on. She is covered in what looks like flour or dough or something to that effect, and you can see very sort of mousy brown hair. It's almost like in a short sort of scruffy bob. Again, almost like it seems to move like Matthias's, where it seems to have a bit of a life of its own and stands on end in some places. And she walks over to you and goes, "Oh, you must be the polar girl, the one who dances, hello." And she grabs your hand and pulls you in for a really like tight hug. These little chunky arms sort of go round you. And then she quickly pulls you apart. She's like, "Come in," and gives you a bit of a slap on like the arm, like to be like in with. And she marches through, and he's like, "I'm sorry. She's going to be like that. It's you just need to tell her to stop."
Oh no, it's lovely. I'm glad she feels so comfortable, and definitely makes me feel more comfortable about coming like this.
No, it's fine. And he sort of shows you into what looks to be like a very large kitchen. It seems to be bigger than the living room or any other part of the house. And leaving the kitchen, but giving you a sort of funny look, looks a very tired archdeacon in a dressing gown holding a cup of tea, and just moves away through into one of the other rooms, and you hear him go up a set of stairs. It's like, "Okay, Mom, this is Paula. Maybe don't call her dancing lady or something like that. That's a bit weird. Paula, this is my mother, Edith, or Edie, as she prefers." And you see Edie look towards you. It's like, "You can call me Mom if you want. I tell everyone else too." And she's like shuffling about, pulling out all of this stuff out of these cupboards.
It's so nice to meet you, Miss Edie. Miss Edie. Paula like does like a big swallow, like the kind of
I made tea. So I didn't know what you want. So you have tea, coffee, green, grey, and she starts listing off all of these teas. So, apparently you like going to that coffee shop around the corner, and I know they do a lot of teas and a lot of coffees, so I figured get them all out. So we were at Dusty Decaf, and Edie, you can see that every single chair in his house is mix and match, all painted different colors. Matthias is looking slightly nervous as he watches his brother leave the room, and he's like in a proper like big dressing gown, scowling. He's got a cup of tea in his hand as he leaves, and you hear him walk up the stairs. You can hear the sort of when someone has a limp, and you can hear the heavier foot hit the step. And there's I went with the mum is like, "Well, go on then, sit down. Sit down."
Yeah, Is Deacon Mark's gonna be okay?
What are you calling my what?
Deacon Marks?
Oh, he's just a grump. He'll sleep it off. It's fine. He's always been a bit of a misery guts. Drama queen. And you can see Matthias like,
he is a drama queen, isn't he?
And she's like, yes, no, he is. He's always all about all the showy stuff.
I've told him before. I know.
He's a grump, really. You don't need to worry about him too much. He's just a bit of well, basically, is like his father. So, and Matthias is slowly like putting his head in his hands as he sits down at the table.
Oh, he was a barber, right?
That is correct. Yeah, that was one of his many professions. He was a jack of all trades, a master of none.
Oh, okay. I've heard wonderful things about him and you as well.
Oh, thank you. She looks over at Matthias and gives him like a slap on the side. Like, you're telling people nice things about me. That's good. And sort of tucks herself in underneath this table. And you can sort of hear a grunt as the Archdeacon walks up the stairs completely and just a door closes. He says, "Don't slam my door!" As you sort of, as she yells up. And she, so, I hear you work at the academy. Isn't that's a wonderful thing? And you dance.
Those are my two things. I'm a librarian at the academy on the magic side, although I don't have Nina Aquae, but
nor do I. So that's fine. There's nothing wrong with not having magic. It's something It's although it's the opposite in this house, I have to always say there's nothing wrong with having magic because, I have one of each and they are both a delight.
They are both a delight.
If they argue about it, I knock them both upside the head with a wooden spoon and then they get over it very quickly.
I wish they didn't have to fight so much, kind of. And she'll kind of turn towards Matthias, like
who's again like just stirring his tea, like, oh no, I wish they didn't fight either. I don't really see the point. Just wastes time, but in particular, he points out my eldest. He's particularly stubborn, but you learn.
He just cares a lot.
She's sort of like, I get that. You have a very nice way of putting it. I like her. And she sort of looks over at Matthias, and you see almost like the panic. Mother, would you like some cake? As you see, he's trying to give her something to make her eat so that she's quiet. And with that, we'll hop over to Reese. And Reese, are you heading back to Jonathan's and Rickard's? Or did you have somewhere else in mind you wanted to go?
I think he's gonna go and try and find where the burlesque show is first, so that he knows where it is.
Mm-hmm. You can wander around the streets for a bit. The map that Paula has drawn is actually pretty good. You walk past it the first time, and then you come back, and you mainly walk past it because it is just a tiny little doorway that seems to lead to a set of stairs that goes further back into the building, and you can hear some music coming from it, though it seems quite dull because of how far back everything is, but you can hear.
Yeah, I think that's good enough for him. He's used to being out and having to navigate in the wild, so he just wanted to find it and see it and know. Essentially, he's continually building that map in his mind of where places are. And then, yeah. Yeah, I think he'll just go back to Jonathan's place then.
Yeah. You sort of, you're on your way back, and before you reach the house down by the sea, you hear a voice call after you, and you recognize it straight away as Rickard. As he comes running down the street, he looks awful. He looks battered and bruised. He is sort of holding his side a little bit. He probably shouldn't be up and about, and he's like, Reese! And as he comes You see that he starts running, and it very quickly becomes a trot to a very slow walk as he overdoes it very quickly. You can hear his breathing gets heavy. He's like, whew, not as fit as I used to be, sort of almost dismissing the wounds down his side. He's got a very huge, almost black and purple bruise down the side of his face, but he smiles at you through it. I heard you were subjected to my husband's cooking earlier this morning.
What do you mean subjective? It's the best I've eaten in a while.
Oh no, it's good food, but he gets very enthusiastic about it.
That's true, he was.
Yeah. So, sorry for that, kind of. I don't know. Oh, you subjected yourself to it. Who am I gonna blame? Are you coming, you're coming back to ours, aren't you?
I was offered to stay,
Yeah? No, come on then. And he sort of starts to walk with you. You see there's a huge lumbering tortoise, an archway sort of by his side, now almost moving as slowly as Ricard is. And he's like, so, how long do you think you're staying, Karnan?
I'm not sure. He randomly gestures to the airships, not in any specific way, and it's just apparently they want to talk to some of us that were in the church that night.
Yes, and he sort of looks up and he's like, I love their style. I love their want for knowledge and their love of magic, but my goodness, their schedules, no. Let me guess, they gave you a 3-day warning.
They said they were leaving in 3 days. We don't have to go with them. We can make our own way. I'm not sure what Tolan and Paula want to do.
And he sort of smiles and nods. You're Astrid, isn't it? And this wolf sort of perks up and looks over to you in your direction. How long have you been with her?
A long time. Something like, what are we on? 3 or 4 decades? I forget.
That's a long time. You know, I've never seen a red wolf this close up, you know? They say something, they come to those who truly need it, who need a companion, who need, it's not so much a pet. It's
No,
more
she's
of a
definitely
friend.
not a pet.
More of a friend, it seems. And she sort of seems to walk a little bit closer to you as he says that.
She's been a good friend.
Why the name Astrid?
I think he walks in silence for a couple of steps.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry.
It's all right. It was the name of someone important to me.
Oh. Well, I'm sure they're very happy about it.
I like to think so.
Well, who wouldn't want to be named after a majestic wolf like this one? As he sort of looks over to Astrid. But she doesn't make eye contact with him. She just keeps following you, walking, plodding along towards this. And you see the house slowly appearing at the end of the street. You can feel the cobbles change to much rougher, much more lumpy on the way down, as you can hear the waves against the sea, of the sea brushing kind of against the shore. And he smiles, and he looks towards where there seems to be smoke coming out of the top of the chimney. He's cooking again. Again. He could feed an army.
He doesn't even point to Astrid, but he's just like, practically has to.
True. And he sort of walks with you. Again, a few steps of quiet. You don't talk much, do you?
No.
How the hell did you handle Jonathan?
I let him do all the talking.
Oh, I had a brother who was very chatty once. Couldn't keep him quiet. Always talking about anything and everything. It's when he would go quiet you knew there was something wrong. Is there something wrong?
I don't know, Rickard. A church exploded. Is something wrong?
I mean, some people would see it as a good thing.
I mean, after what I saw in there, I'd see it as a good thing too, but still, explosions aren't technically good.
Technically, no. And he sort of smiles. Thing I will say, though, I don't think it's over yet.
I'd have to agree with you.
And he smiles. This person you named your wolf after, do you miss them?
Every day.
And there's a sad sort of look on Rickard's face. I miss my brother every day. They say time will heal. It doesn't. You just learn how to cope with it better.
Yep. Patch over the hole as best you can.
I sometimes hope that he is still somewhere. Because when I was told he was dead, I didn't believe it. He's too smart to be dead. And something has to have happened, something to keep him away from his family. Because that was what was most important to him.
Were you weren't with him then?
No. When everything happened, or when apparently he disappeared, I was buried in my books in the academy. He was the one who liked to be a bit more hands-on, go see the actual thing, go pick it up, go touch it, go see if it's real. I liked my books. I still do. I often wonder if I didn't like my books so much, maybe I would have been with him.
I'm a little more like your brother. I like to be hands-on.
And he sort of points to your scar. It looks it.
I was there when it happened. Not your brother. It's my fault.
It's your fault what?
I think there's a really long sigh as he tries to collect himself. It's my fault my sister's gone.
And Ricard looks at him. Surely not. You seem like a decent fellow, and when you say gone, do you mean gone? Things happen sometimes that are beyond our control. Half the time I blame myself that Edric went missing. If I was there, maybe I could have done something to prevent what happened. He was a clever man, but he wasn't book smarts. You know. Maybe if the book smarts was there, they wouldn't have disappeared. Doesn't mean I don't blame myself.
Yeah, but
How old was she?
he takes a moment, and there's actually like the look of him trying to math out the age. Eight, 10, maybe. I was quite a bit older.
And he looks at your face, and you can see he's sort of... There's a face of questions, but he doesn't pry. Well, it was a long time ago. And I'm pretty sure that is lunch I can smell coming from the house. So maybe let's raise a glass to them over lunch.
It's a good plan.
And there's a very soft smile that kind of glances across his face briefly, falls away again as he starts to lead you down to the house. Bless you. And on that note, we'll head over to Tolan.
Excuse me.
And Tolan, you were heading back to the workshop with Averick, weren't you?
Yeah, actually the lab, the old lab in the Scar at this point.
You walk down that street, and I'm guessing you and Averick haven't walked together down the street for quite a while.
No, not since, I don't think since at all the two of us walking down. I mean, it was the last time Averick said he was here, as he's now been by, because when we checked that it had been opened, probably the last time he walked to the lab was the day of the accident, as he was carried out after the accident.
And you can feel the hesitation in his walk as he walks down the street. It's not like not wanting to go. You watch him take smaller steps, look around at the buildings, at the waterway on the side, at these where flowers and flora once was and is now almost like a black creeper that it looks as if it's been burnt to the wall. That's what it looks like. You can see a few buds that are very dark that look like they've tried to bloom, but they seem to have shriveled up and sort of sit in between some of the bricks where the mortar was. And you see him taking in everything. You see his nose twitch from the smell, and at the same time you see Clyde's go. His eyes dart around the place as if he's his brow tenses every now and then, as if you can see he's trying to remember exactly where he's going.
Your first time in the scar.
Yeah, and sort of half snaps out of it as you say it. It's like, and half like nervous laughs. I don't know what you're talking about. It was fine.
It's okay. It took me a long time to even walk these streets, and it wasn't until something just drew me here after the trams fell that I'd returned to the lab. I did walk here, though. Every day. For a while. I hoped I would find some sign. Something that showed that it was recovering. That some little piece of the Gardenia district and all of its history and beauty wasn't truly gone from what he looks down at the crate, this did.
And you see Averick sort of slowly, he's listening to you, but he's sort of resting his hand on one of the walls, and you can see him almost take a breath as he does. And for a moment feels those dark flowers where they were. And as he picks one up, they just sort of almost disintegrate, like they were so brittle as they sort of break and fall away. And he almost looks apologetically at you. They're growing back, but they're not what they were.
No.
Is it always this grey?
Yeah, it is. There's a pall over it all. Almost 10 blocks in each direction from the lab. All the way out, even past the old station. Back before the new tram system went in.
I didn't realize it went that far.
Yes.
And he sort of gives you a nod. Shall we hurry along and get inside? I'll make tea.
I'm not sure what all will work there. Magic doesn't flow quite the same. Only simple things work, or persistent ones.
Do you have a box of matches?
A flint. He pulls out an old flint.
Then I can make tea.
Yes.
Okay. And he sort of almost not ducks his head down, but you can tell he's not wanting to look necessarily around so much anymore. And he hurries towards the lab, and you can tell it's more like his feet are leading him, as if it's memory movement that is leading him back to the lab. The only difference is there's a tiniest little bit of a limp than the last time you saw him walk down this street.
Tolan follows, and I think there's that weird juxtaposition of almost like a ghost of what it once was, and Averick and himself, those memories thick in the air as he follows and in his mind wonders what even they're going to do if the lab's been broken in before, the vaults that they had been defeated. He's even wondering if this was the right decision, but he didn't know where else or what else to do. It then comes up to that door, sort of white with almost like a school door with sort of the long panel of glass on one side. The old sign above it has been fallen down and broken from the original sort of energy that was blasted. The door's probably got a little bit of a dent as well, almost where it was blown into from the force of the energies that were released that day. But I mean, it did lock. At least it did before. And if Averick's already gone in, he'll follow him in, or if Averick's at the door.
He's paused at the door. You can see him almost take a deep breath, but it's almost he doesn't need it, but you see him pull out a very old key, his key to this place, and it's like, oh, it sort of gives you a bit of a smile, but pushes and opens the door, and he strides in almost just not looking around. He shrugs off his leather jacket, chucks it over a chair like he used to always do, and moves towards this tiny bit, which was more of just like the tiniest stove. It was almost like a camping stove. It wasn't really anything else. He's like, I'm making tea. Do you want tea? I'm gonna make tea.
That would be great.
Also cups. Do we have cups? Are we using anything like any sort of like picking things up and looking and
some of probably the old metal mugs, almost like camping mugs that they would use, are probably still there. We're close to the stove.
Yeah, you can see a couple of enamel mugs, these white ones with like a blue rim, and it's like, I'm gonna use these. I'm gonna wash them.
As he does that, Tolan sort of walks over where the lab is divided in two, and there's the other room where the actual accident happened, which is, I think Tolan probably looks through the door before shutting it. It's not been cleaned up. There is scorch marks. There is a suspicious dark rust brown stain of old blood on the floor. Averick's blood. Probably some of his own mixed in as well. Things knocked over. Sort of the desperate struggle between life and death that happened in there.
Could you roll me an intellect check, please? Or if you have perception, I can never remember who has perception.
I do not have perception. I haven't even
Okay.
opened up my sheet yet. Stand by. Natural 20.
Okay. So you're looking around at all of these marks, I guess, the scorch marks, these stains on the floor, the debris and the dust that has settled here. And it is thick. You can even see like Averick is scrubbing you hear more that you can hear him scrubbing these in a sort of almost with metallic sound going round as as the water hits it. You can hear him murmuring to himself. He's keeping himself busy. He seems to be moving constantly, but what you do notice is Clyde sits very still, upright, and is just looking towards the room that you just closed. His eyes sort of shift, and the eyebrows go up. His body itself doesn't move, but shifts and looks to you. and then focuses back on the door again.
I think Tolan looks him in the eye and then kind of has to turn its head away, sort of guiltily. Sort of a bit of wetness building in his eyes. I don't think they fall, but wetness there. There's that sound of sort of steel wool on tin as Avric is cleaning, and I think Tolan, some of the tables in here, this is sort of more of a meeting space. There's a little bit of, as there was everywhere, inventions and things they were working on, and sort of whiteboards and notes and desks. I think Tolan sort of absent-mindedly, without looking at them, starts to sort of fiddle and kind of looks back up on the chalkboard. I think probably chalkboard, not a whiteboard. I think he would use chalk. At some of the diagrams and schematics of both circuitry and arcane symbols sort of mixed together, that blending of invention and magic, and sort of also his shorthand of concepts and ideas, knowing that, especially with what they dealt with of matching, concept to invention, that sometimes even having those words written and you read them can foil your best efforts. So he has this sort of shorthand of capturing those without having them necessarily immediately come to mind. How to think about thoughts without thinking about them, sort of. And I think he kind of gives a wry smile as he sort of looks at some of those. And I think, again, that nostalgia takes him, and he thinks back about that night and the fact that he hasn't reverted back, as, again, nostalgia is a powerful, persistent thing.
And you have this tea sort of thrust in front of you, which sort of brings you back just for a moment. But even that has its own sort of nostalgia to it, of Avric making tea before he had the shop, when he'd only make tea for the both of you before you'd sit down and work on your things. And you see Avric pull out one of the chairs opposite on the table, and he's like, "Clyde, stop staring." And this Inarque sort of drifts its head over and starts moving over towards Avric before resting its very heavy head and chin on his lap, which he scratches whilst he starts to sip the tea.
I think Tolan sits, probably in his normal chair, probably actually kind of like 90 degrees to him, not straight across from him, with these parts, this bin, this crate, almost like a milk crate that they filled with things, knowing that at the bottom of it is that artifact. They stole it from here once.
What do we
Obviously,
do with it?
I don't know. Philandris didn't know what it was, obviously, or it wouldn't have been thrown so haphazardly. I mean, I think why it stayed hidden after so many seekers had been through that site before us. It doesn't look like much.
It's not fancy enough for Valadrians. As he sort of like takes a sip from his tea, I don't think this is something we can destroy, Harlan.
I don't think so either. There's a part of me that still feels it could be useful. But God, to see how they've used it. Or they said parts of it. They've perhaps learned from this and built something else, or tried to incorporate some of the circuitry, and I don't know what the church have done, but we certainly saw its effects. I mean, Havric, you weren't with us, but they bottled magic.
Can you bottle magic?
I wouldn't have thought so, but or distilled it. Even I have a horrible feeling they somehow distilled down in an archway, almost like a young child's, but it was in a canister. When I opened it, I had magic again. It's
wait, and he sort of like drops his tea. It doesn't spill or anything. Like he's close to the table, half drops his head. What do you mean you have magic?
Did you not notice? He stands up, and instead of being a little bit shorter, he's back to looking at Averick eye to eye. He sort of stands him up with them.
Yeah. And it's like then you can see that he notices that he's like, wait, what?
I don't know. But they had whatever they did to Tuva, or were trying to repeat with her. I think it is similar to what we did by accident, but what they somehow captured. I don't know, but I also don't know if by us having this has stopped them, or just retaken what they used to create something even worse. Paula said something about her friend Noah, and I worry that the shadows maybe is what's left after an Anakwe is distilled or taken or rendered.
And he looks upset. I've heard stories of what happens to people who lose their Anak. And he looks over, he's like, it's why I'm so worried about you. I know that some people, it's like grief. It's like they can't deal with it. They can't cope with it. Some say they go mad. Some just can't exist without it. It's your other half. So how can you exist without it?
It's not been easy. And I also think, well, there are very few ways outside of the old war of how to naturally lose an Anakwe.
How did
I think
feel?
surgical nature of, he nods to the artifact, of that, perhaps reduce the trauma, cauterize the wound, sutured it.
I'm sorry you had to go through that because we decided to do a silly experiment.
I rolled that to see if Tolan was keeping it together. We were trying to do something wonderful for the world. Trying to help people who had been injured horribly. I mean, we were trying to make things like your leg and that Valadrin's arm and people who had lost limbs, organs, be able to have more natural replacements, to truly give them a prosthetic that was bound to them and to their Anakwe, so that it would be, so they would feel whole again. We felt, both of us, it was worth the risk.
And he does look down for a moment. Yeah. So, do we take this with us? Do we leave it? What do we do? We can't destroy it because I don't know what we would do to destroy it, and if we destroy it, is that going to make it better? Is that going to make it worse?
It's too dangerous to try to. Well, neither one of us have enough magic to manifest to destroy it anyway.
Not anymore. No.
I did have a thought, though.
Do tell, as he leans and picks up his mug again.
The vault we made for this, I think I was building it on the idea of things staying the same, me being able to control all the variables. That's probably why it weakened through the years as I got less and less in control. It left it open, and certainly any type of blackout or brownout that would happen. I mean, I did think ahead that total loss of magic would fail safe, but these manipulations, changing magic.
Weird. There's a kid in the city now that has a dragon in her rucksack.
A dragon that was a sphere that sang to both of us. It seemed to pay more attention to you than anyone.
No, it had an attitude problem is what it had. And he sort of half smiles. But
well,
I never thought I'd be sassed by a dragon, let alone a stone.
well,
That doesn't happen. Dragons are like in stories. That's the stuff that what's his name, Matthias, talks about. It's not supposed to be real. But here we are.
I didn't think the Guardians were real. We had seen them on ancient carvings. And I had one take my hand and transport me to somewhere through a veil, almost, there at the season tree. Place where I could see those that were no longer with us. So, I'm thinking those carvings, those stories, Matthias's tale about a person being chased by a flying phoenix, dragon. They are rooted in truth.
And he smiles again. In a way that makes me happy. Though I do wonder if it is fully like the stories. Because if it breathes fire, we're just giving the kid more and more ammunition.
Well, I figure she has a shield with that panda. If she has fire with a dragon, maybe we'll have her lead the way with wherever we're going.
Oh god. And he sort of like sits up in his chair. It's like, well, that will be interesting. And he sort of...
I'm gonna say, riding on the back of that Silva, she makes quite a knight.
Don't tell her that.
I have no plans on it.
Yeah, don't tell her that. And he smiles into his cup of tea. And we're going to take a 5-minute break real quick. So everyone, get up, stretch your legs, get a drink, and we'll see you in a minute. Bye. Oh, hi. We're back. We are in the workshop or the lab with Tolan and Averick. And Tolan, you've now been sitting there for... The mood has lightened a little bit in the way that as you're talking about Tuva, there's some smiles there. There's that chatting that is slowly taking place. When could you roll me an intellect
Certainly.
check, please?
12. Oh, 12. I had assets and efforts on, but whatever. I didn't use any, so fine. The 12 is the 12.
And you are laughing and chatting with Averick. Averick's now like giving you this image of Tuva as a knight riding a silver dragon overhead. You're having like this real laugh. She's thinking, oh God, what chaos would that be? When you can see the door behind him and that long glass window, you see almost a dark shape walk past it, fully block the entire length of the window. And you get a weird sensation over you. Not a bad one, but you can see Clyde's head raises up and looks over to the window almost exactly the same time as you do. And you linger for a moment, but then you hear a clack of seashells as it starts to move past the door.
Averick,
What?
Do you
What?
hear- Something just went by the door. Do you hear that clicking?
And he turns round, and you can still hear the clacking. It's as if it's walking away down the path you came. And you see him pause and listen. Wait. Like driftwood, like seashells, like...
Yes.
Wait.
Yes. I cross to the door quickly and sort of fling it open and stick my head out to see if I can see what Tolan believes might be a guardian.
You fling the door open. Averick is close behind you, like he's got a hand on your shoulder, trying to like look around you, and you see it's that
underneath. Yes,
it's the sort of Scooby-Doo effect as you look round and you see this 8-foot creature, this guardian with long antlers, all of these seashells decorating it, almost like this seaweed draped over it, almost like a cloak, as it moves down this street. Now, there's no other people down this street because of the scar. And you feel Averick's grip tighten on your shoulders. I can see it. I can see it, Tolan.
I need you to wait here.
Wait here?
Because of your leg. When I saw them up on the main streets, it was shorting out anything powered by magic. I can't let that happen. I don't know if we can ever... I don't know if I can make that magic happen again.
Okay. I'll put the kettle on and I'll keep an eye on the artifact. And he sort of backs in slightly.
Yes.
Be quick and answer your phone.
Yes. He looks down and actually it probably is charged at this point.
He probably made you charge it
Yeah.
before.
So Tolan, sort of his normal thing, pulls his hat down, checks his pockets. I think he puts his hand around, whatever, probably the compass, which is in his pocket. And actually also this new, this stick that he got, it's in his other pocket, and sort of begins at a fairly rapid but short strided clip behind this guardian, trying to catch up with him or to see where they're going.
You start to move, and there's lots of passageways. It's very much like the rest of Karnan, even though the scar, it's a very dull grey now. And you see another and another walking between these streets, all headed in the same direction. That clack again, and almost a soft song on the breeze.
How far are we getting away from the lab?
You're getting quite far away as you're following them, but you notice as you get closer to them, the song is louder, but it doesn't seem to be coming from their mouths. It's literally on the air. And as you do, you're walking, you're focused on these guardians. They don't seem to acknowledge you. They seem to be walking, and they start to come out of the scar, and you notice that other people are seeing them. People are stopping, people are gasping, they're grabbing each other as they start to emerge from the side of the streets.
I know it's very few of us here, and it's sort of more squatters' rights here in the scar, so I think Tolan kind of like nods to them and might sort of almost signal them of like to stay a little bit back, but also if someone else sort of joins in with them, isn't going to stop them or anything. But I think just sort of a little bit of a trying to be like, not to be wary, that this is something strange.
People don't seem to be following them like you do. If anything, they're backing away and observing. Some of them sort of walk behind you for a little bit just to almost see what you are doing, if you're seeing the same thing.
Right.
And it starts to rain. And there's a patter, and you can hear it more than anything on your round the brim of your hat, until you hear people reacting to it. What is this? What is this? And along the top rim of your hat, you see blackness sort of drop from the top of your hat. And if you do hold your palm out, the rain isn't quite like water. It's still liquid, but it's slightly more viscous as it lands in your palm and rolls over down your wrist. Almost like a blackness with a rainbow, multicolored sheen over the top of it. It runs off your hand, but you can definitely feel how much thicker it is. And as you look out and around, the rain is dark. The rain is black.
I mean, I assume it looks very similar to the smear in the sky in the way that it sort of refracts like oil. Tolan, this is interesting. He has Tom's hat, which is waterproof. He is going to take it and flip it over and try to start it just to hold it while he's still following, but with it being waterproof, so that it basically is going to be a container, like almost like a Tupperware, to see if gather at least some of it so that he'll have it for later, but continues to follow the Guardians if they're still moving. And I'm just, I just sort of making it, I'm not trying to like catch raindrops, but just have it flipped over so it's gathering as I'm doing my other things.
You can definitely gather some of it because of the waterproofness of this hat, and you see it pool into, which is almost like an oil with the sheen of like the rainbow as it sort of moves over the top. The Guardians, you see more and more emerge from the streets, more than before, as they're coming out and heading into Karnan.
So are they heading out of the scar or towards the center of the, I mean, I guess the lab is the center of the scar. So are they heading out like towards towards the season tree again?
They seem to be heading towards the season tree. You've walked this route. In fact, you've walked this route with a Guardian before, as they all start to move. And over in the airship, in the Valadrian airship, Elizabeth Cartwright is in her office, and she slumps into, she sort of shrugs off her very elegant white coat, which she's been wearing most of the time, and just drops it over one of the chairs and sinks down into a very large, deep red leather windback chair. And she just sighs, as if she'd been on her feet all day. She kicks off her shoes and smiles, leaning her head back, and there is a flash of purple as her Inarque, this magpie, lands on the top of one of the wings, and she pours this tea into a very small glass cup, very decorative. It's Valadrian, and it's poured in from a very, very small teapot as it all rests on the side table in this airship. And she smiles to herself. She's done everything that she really needs to today, other than writing notes and a few more meetings. And she sits for a while, just relaxing, before picking up the tea in her very delicate hands, sort of freshly painted nail varnish, and she blows on the tea to cool it down as like this steam sort of wanders over the surface of it. And for a moment, her hand starts to shake. And she holds it up and looks at it, confused. And then the glass drops. And it smashes as her eyes go white and roll back into her head, and she falls back, very much like when she spoke to Florence. A few moments go past, and her lips are moving, but there's no words coming out. And then this magpie screeches, flapping its wings as she gasps and sits upright, comes round, grips the arms of the chair she sat in, her eyes sort of darting around, panicked, and she's just Axel, and starts yelling for Axel, and she tries to stagger to her feet, forgetting her shoes, forgetting her jacket. She moves around, sort of clinging to the chair, heading towards the door of her office, like trying to open it, throws it open and just screams Axel's name down this corridor, the one you walked down. He comes tearing down that corridor through the wooden floorboards, almost slides into the other side of the wall, coming through there, his huge arm sort of pulling him along on one of the railings. And he sort of grabs her side and lifts her arm over his shoulders to keep her upright as she almost falls over. And she just looks at him, deadly serious, says, "We need to get back to Valadria. Something awful is about to happen." And Paula, you are sat at this dining room table, and Edie is going through these cakes. She keeps pouring you tea. And Matthias has his head in his hands a little bit, more out of stress that his mum won't stop talking. And as you look past her through to that window, you see dark clouds sort of start to form, and this black rain start to patter against the window, sort of drumming almost against the way. It gets heavier and heavier, and you can hear Edie nattering, just like, "Oh, Matthias, you should sit up more straight. Sit up. See, you're fine." Like, she's nattering away, half to herself and half to Matthias.
Paula, without speaking, gets out of her seat and like her eyes like fixated on the window, and walks up to the window and opens it up to stick her hand out. And
yeah, it's just, you open it, it's like that creak of all these little windows like in one big pane, and you open it and you just hear that heavy rain, that thunder, the patter. You can see it pooling in the cobbled stones in the streets. You can see people looking up at the sky, sort of freaking out, wondering what this is. And as you reach out yourself, you see this almost oil-like liquid, this darkness with this rainbow sheen pour down the side of your hand. Matthias, you has stood up, almost looking as confused as you, moved silently over to where you are. He's like, "What the hell is that?"
I think the sky is falling.
The sky is falling. And he sort of looks out the window, opens another one next to it, sort of leans out. There's where the porch is, like, it doesn't necessarily come pouring down onto both of you. And he's like, I've never seen rain like this.
It looks like the scar in the sky.
Does it affect the rain? And you see Sophia, this little blue sort of ferret in Archway, pop her head out and look out the window, sort of craning her neck to also have a look.
Maybe we should stay inside until it passes.
I think you might be right. I don't know. Does it hurt? Does it burn? Or, and as he sort of looks at you, if you've held your hand out to catch it.
I'm gonna taste it.
You wanna lick it?
Just a little bit, you know.
Yeah, he's like, what are you doing? And you literally like it, and it tastes like rainwater, but it's thick. There's a almost metallic taste to it, like if you bite the inside of your cheek or your tongue and you get that tiny bit of metallic taste, that blood, but it's not strong enough. It tastes more of water than it does metallic, but there is that tinge to it. And I need you to make me an intellect check, please.
Could identifying help me with this?
I would say so, actually, yes.
Okay, and I'm going to spend an effort. Actually, no, I'm not going to spend an effort, but I will roll with advantage.
Okay. You are sort of like just putting this onto your lips for a moment, and it tastes that metallic, and you sort of... And Matthias is looking at you like, what are you doing? Don't eat it. Like, as he sort of looks like horrified that you've just done this. He's like... And... I don't think you've ever seen one of these, but this huge 8-foot creature with a wooden mask, very long, antlers that reach further up, clack of seashells, driftwood, these long robes, these long hands and long fingers. They don't seem to walk. It's almost like they glide. As Matthias's eyes go wide, and you see almost like a smear of paint across these wooden masks, almost like berries. And you watch as this thing, this guardian, opens its hands, and as it does, it trails berries ever pouring out of the center of its hands. These shells, these things just start pouring from its hands, leaving a trail as it goes. And as you see these hands, they look old. They look very old. They look very withered. You see these trinkets, almost like wind chimes, hanging off these antlers as it starts to move. And you know the direction towards the season tree, towards the center of Karnan.
Yeah, I definitely think we should stay inside. And Paula will abruptly like slam the window shut and close the curtains as well.
Yeah, Matthias sort of looks over it. He's like, what was that?
I'm not sure, but it seems familiar to descriptions I've heard from my friends.
Wait, so... And you can stay looking out this window as you see it walk past. And you see Tolan walking behind it. Cautiously.
Speak of the devil.
And slowly, hat upturned, as you see other people starting to react to these creatures. You see another appear. And another. One of them makes you jump as it walks straight past the window, so up close that it blocks all the light out, as it does, it being so tall. And Matthias grabs like your forearm. He says, okay, what is Tolan doing? Why is he outside?
I think he's interacted with these things before. I don't know to what extent, but it looks like they're friendly enough.
And you see Matthias watch Tolan go, because Tolan passes the window, passes your eye line. He's like, I'm going out. And he starts to pull on his jacket. And he's like, you can stay here if you want. Mom, like, I'll be back in a minute. Don't go outside. In fact, close the curtains. And he opens the door and shrugs on this coat and pulls on a hat.
And Paula's following right behind. And she's like frantically looking for an umbrella rack by the door or something because she didn't bring a coat with her when she left this morning.
There's no umbrella. However, you can see him grabbing another coat and effectively throwing it on you. It's far too big. It's far too big for you. Like, the sleeves are extra long. It's very bulky, almost like a bomber style jacket. But he throws it over you and untucks the hood and pulls it over your head. He's like, come on, I don't think we should get this stuff on us. And I think
Paula kind of wears it like over her shoulders, but like not putting her arms through the holes, but has the hood on her head.
You manage. He sort of opens the door, and you hear that thunder of the rain sort of hitting the floor. You look down, and in between all the cobbles and all the cracks in the stone is this black liquid with this almost very alluring rainbow, these multicolors that seem to swirl in between the pavements, and they all seem to be running in the same direction that the Guardians are walking. And Matthias, he too sort of tucks, like he's got a hat on, he pulls up his hood, and he starts heading off in the direction of Tolan, looking to you. He's like, come on.
Yeah, and Paula scurries behind, pulling the coat close to her, and tries to keep her head down.
Yeah, Tolan is quite far ahead of you as he's walking, and Matthias doesn't seem to be in any rush to catch Tolan because these things are near Tolan. And you wind through all these passageways, and you suddenly see there's 4, 5, 6, 7 of these 8-foot creatures. Everyone seems to be able to see them. Everyone is reacting to them. You can see some people slink away, people close their windows, close their doors. These guardians don't seem to react at all to anyone around them. As you follow them as they arrive in the huge courtyard by the season tree. And Reese, you've been sat down, force-fed lunch, and as you're all sat there, it's quite a relaxing almost afternoon, but you see Astrid, her ears perk up before she does, and she slowly gets to her feet. Her nose is sniffing, this huge, big, black nose is twitching. These ears are flicking in every direction. Her eyes are moving and darting everywhere until she heads straight to the front door and she starts pouring at the door, like almost like she's trying to dig her way out. Not as, you know, this isn't her full strength, but she's trying to almost get your attention. Hello, Raiders. And there's a moment where you hear Rickard. What the hell is that? As almost like as if it came in like a wave, this black rain hits the window, thundering against it, pattering. And it sort of almost seeps down like an oil down these huge French windows by the patio. And Astrid throws back her heavy, shaggy head and lets out a howl, which is almost ear-piercing as you see Jonathan and Rickard clasp their hands over their ears.
I think as soon as he noticed Astrid perk up, he's on alert, and he's shortly behind her to the door before she howls. And I think that interrupts the question he was going to ask her. And once she's finished, he's already reaching for the door, but he's like, what is it?
And she is now trying to dig her way out. You can see damage to the door now as she is trying to claw.
Yeah, he's already trying to open it.
Yeah, you manage to open it. And as you do, you see this black rain just pouring down this thick, viscous black liquid, and the sky has darkened, the sky has grayed, And you sort of look up as she does. She heads straight out and looks up at the sky. And that huge smear, that scar in the sky is moving. And it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you can see these rainbow sort of edges almost sparkle and shine sort of around, but the darkness at the center has become more and more intense. It's almost like when you look up at the sky and there's stars, but there's no stars. This is just blackness, like it would swallow you whole if you fell into it. And she is throwing her head back again and howling, and she is not happy. And she gives you a look. And you've seen this look in her eyes before. This is the look she gives you before she runs.
I think he stops just long enough to turn back to Jonathan and Rickard. And he's just like, stay inside. And then he slams the door shut as he goes to follow her.
You almost hear like an object go, what? Like, but you can slam the door shut.
And then he'll follow as Astrid probably starts to run.
She sprints. You know she's not sprinting at her full potential. She's keeping back a little bit so that you can keep up, but you can run fast. This is like your thing. You run with Astrid and you all sprint through the streets. And as you do, can you roll me an intellect check, please? In fact, roll me 2.
Okay. I would like to roll both with advantage.
Go for it. It means you'll roll well first.
Yes. Yep.
Yep.
Nope.
So, on the first one, you're running, and it's almost like a blur. But in between these alleyways, all of these little nooks and crannies of the city, as you leave the shore behind, you see these guardians, these tall creatures, and they're moving faster and faster. Some of them look like they're keeping up with you as they move. You notice none of their feet touch the floor. They glide, and as they glide, you can see some lamps that have been lit due to this darkness coming, bursting at each side as they go past them. You hear the smash, you hear the crash, and somewhere on that second row at the back of your head, you hear a familiar voice, a voice you've not heard in a very, very long time, a voice that shouldn't be able to be heard. Because the dead shouldn't talk. And you hear your sister's voice. You're not too sure what it is. She's starting to sing. Something she used to hum when you went out for your walks, when you went exploring or adventuring together. When she would run alongside you instead of this huge red wolf. You hear, "It's happening again," as you sprint towards the season tree with Astrid leading the way. Pola and Matthias, you catch up with Tolan. Tolan, you can see Matthias and Pola moving towards you. It takes a moment for you to realize it's them, purely because they've got heavy coats over them and Pola's in tracksuits. But you see them sort of sprinting towards you. If anything, you see that wisp of blue from Sophia first, sort of swirling around the both of them.
Talon!
Paula? Matthias,
What is happening? I don't understand.
I don't know. I followed them when they did this before, and it was nothing bad, but there was not this whatever it is. He sort of holds out the hat, but do you have a flask or anything on you? Something I can pour this into?
I've got a thermos, my mother, and and he sort of reaches into his pocket and pulls out this very small, like, thermos.
Yeah.
He's like, you can put it in here if you want.
Yep, I grab it and dump it out and pour the liquid out of the hat in the thermos and seal it up, and then put the hat back on so I'm not getting it all over this rain over me.
What is this?
I don't know what the rain is, but these guardians before, when they showed up, they circled the tree. They opened a way to somewhere else. I don't know how to explain it.
What do you mean somewhere else? Like
a place where Anakwe that had passed. I often see Anakwe that have lost their people. They head back to the tree and they become back into the fountain. They were there. All of them were there, like every Anakwe that had ever returned to the tree. It was like a place of pure magic in a way. I saw things, and he sort of gets quiet.
They good or bad?
It wasn't bad, and I came back, but I don't know how to explain it. I know that they couldn't see me when I was there inside that veil. And as more and more people have gone missing that we found out about, I'm starting to wonder if that might be where they all are.
Well, maybe if we get to the tree before they get there, we can watch what happens and find some answers.
Yes, that's what I do.
How have you seen
Try to
them?
piece it together.
How have you seen them so many times?
It's only been twice. The other time was right after Deacon Marks was attacked, after the announcement. It was that night. The beginning of that night, the night that everything happened. Isn't that right? Was that all the same night?
Yeah, the night that we jumped off that roof and fell through that window.
Yeah, I landed through that window. And there's like a moment of like where it breaks the fear, and he's like, no, but that can't be a good thing, right? Are they appearing before something bad happens? I thought they would. I mean, they don't look dangerous.
I've called
they just
them
look weird.
I've called them the Guardians. I hope that name is correct. I've seen them on other pictograms at old sites when I was a seeker, on ruins, ancient ones.
We've seen them too, Matthias, in the library, and I saw them again on the airship.
And
under the church, they were there too.
wait, so these things have been everywhere and they've been around for a long time. What does that mean? Is this something?
How can they be everywhere and yet none of us know anything about them? Someone's hiding information from us.
I have a feeling they choose who they want to see.
Well, everyone seems to be seeing them now, and I would have told you that dragons were just stories before 3 nights ago.
What is happening? As you sort of hear Matthias under his breath, as you see so many people in Karnan stepping out, looking at these huge creatures, this clatter, this almost song-like chime to all of these trinkets hanging from them. And you see them very much like before, Tolan. They all step forward, hands outstretched, and start to surround the season tree. However, this time, there's about 30 of them. It's almost creating a full, complete circle, and you can hear a hum, sort of a song, a very, very low song, something that you don't think any human voice could reach. It's so low. It's more like you can feel it running through the ground. You feel it running through your body. And Paula, you can start to feel this. It's almost like when you get pins and needles, when you get the tingle in your hand.
Last time Repeat after me. I mean no harm. I just want to learn.
I mean no harm. I just want to learn.
I mean
That's
no
what I kept
harm.
saying over and over again. So,
Do they provide knowledge, information?
they don't speak that I know of, but they were trying to show me something before, I think.
Something. I don't know what it is, but I don't like it.
Seems like they're trying to show everyone. They want to put on a show this time.
Do they? They're not acknowledging anyone.
And yet all of us can see them, and they're in the middle of town.
Alice, are there sort of trails of all of these trinkets and berries and things like that?
You see
all
them
through?
leading up almost like pathways towards the season tree. You see all of these, it's berries, shells, twigs, leaves, everything natural. As you can see, it's like they're falling from their hands. It's also falling from their garments, like a never-ending trail. And Paula, like, you can look down at your feet and you see squashed berries beneath your shoes, and you notice it starts to be everywhere. And on all of the walls, all of those plants, all of those vines, all of those buds are starting to glow and grow. The closer they walk to it, you can see it all sort of creeping up the sides of the walls, starting to wrap around the chimneys and through the roof tiles.
Talon, maybe, and Paula's kind of pointing to the flowers that are growing and glowing. Now, I don't know if it's really any of my business, but maybe you could give them a tour of the Gardenia district.
They started there, but there was no effect. There wasn't this there. Whatever is drained the scar, I guess I don't know, or maybe they're channeling from the tree as they get closer. But be careful with any magic. He points out to the lamps and things like that. That was tamed, not wild. Overloads. This is raw, primal in some way.
You see people start to panic a little bit as you hear, now all of you can feel that almost that low bass tone, that vibration that seems to be running through the earth. It's like they're all humming and chanting as they reach out with their hands towards the season tree. And Reese, you're running. You are sprinting. Everything is slowly becoming a blur to you. And from behind you, you hear galloping. You hear hooves hitting cobbled streets, and you hear that familiar kid's voice as Tuva starts to come racing on the back of this Silvus, almost equal to you, and looks to you like, there's something going on at the season tree. I don't know what it is, but this little one's freaking right out. And you, for the first time, see this dragon's head sort of poke out the back of this rucksack, this tiny little snout, these huge nostrils. You mainly only see like these really big amber eyes that sort of blink a couple of times sideways at you before retreating back into the rucksack. And she's like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't know what's going on. And she's keeping up with you. This is you. There's no saddle on this Silvus or anything. She is holding on.
What do I know about this? Because it's happening again.
You roll an intellect check for me.
Since Roll20 hates me, I'm going to spend another advantage.
Okay.
13.
You have a moment where you're running and you're looking at Tuva as she speaks. But it's like she's moving in slow motion for a moment. It's like you're both moving in slow motion. You can hear what she's saying, but it's foggy, like it's underwater. And last time something like this happened, it's almost like it throws you back to a little girl's voice that you couldn't fully hear when she was shouting for you, when she was yelling your name, as you see almost like what looks like a heat wave of color sort of move through the air for a moment. And as you look up, it's like this huge heat wave moves through the sky. And you see all of these guardians, but there's other wisps of color. There's other things. There's people you can see that you're pretty sure there's something unfamiliar, and you don't realize it until watching Tuva as she canters go straight through them. Almost like shadows or images. And as you blink, it disappears again. And you know that there's heavy magic in the air. And you're not too sure what it is. But when something like this happened before, it didn't end well. It's like the air is thin. Like you climbed up the top of a mountain and your lungs weren't getting enough oxygen. And you can feel it in your chest.
I think to answer Tuva, Reese just... So much has happened in such a short time. I think he's just like, I'm not sure, but this isn't the first time I've seen it, but I'm sure Tolan's wherever these are all leading.
And she gives you a curt nod. And you see her almost like streamline herself, pushing herself down low against the silver, so she starts to not go faster than you. She's definitely creeping forward. And soon you're running, and you hear the hooves come to almost like a skidding halt. And you see Tolan, you see Matthias, you see Paula, and you see this row of guardians stood, hands out around this tree. You see so many people of Karnan. Some of the people you've walked past in the last few days, and there's a panic going on. You see some of the airships are taking off. People are running into their homes if they're not staring at these guardians. People are panicking as the season tree starts to glow. And this song reaches the pit of your stomach. And it's a bizarre feeling. It's almost like you feel nauseous, you feel sick. You feel like you have heard this song before a very, very long time ago.
I think he just skids up to Matthias and Paula and Tolan, who are all there together. And I think at first all he can do is say, this isn't good. This isn't going to end well. I've seen this before.
What do you mean? What do you mean, Reese? What's gonna happen?
I'm not sure, but this is... This is what happened when I lost my sister.
Should we clear the area? Should we tell people to leave?
I don't know. I don't look at how I don't know how far this is gonna reach.
Talon, I thought you said they were friendly.
Last time they were. I don't know. I don't know if they even understand that what they might be doing could be harmful to us, or whether it's just another cycle of magic and life and death and returning to the well, a font of magic. I don't know. I know that hole in the sky scares me, but
Can you
I also
feel the
know
difference, Tolan?
I can. But I also know that when I was inside the circle of guardians before, it was not someplace bad. I don't know whether we should try to enter their circle or stay outside of it or run for our lives or dive into the canals and try to swim to the old city for shelter. I don't know.
You said that when you tried talking to them that they listened, right? That you told them that you just want to learn and they listened.
They invited me in to the circle.
Maybe we should try talking to them again. Maybe we should ask them if we're safe.
Clatter of voices around you, the people of Karnan, asking questions. Some of them you can see backing away, some of them are creeping forward out of intrigue. You see these guardians, their hands start to shake and tremble. You can see vines leave them as if they're growing from them, from the floor, as if they're taking root. All of these flowers, all of these colors sort of spreading. And there's this moment where it's almost like what you'd normally see in slow motion, but you see the leaves grow. You see the plants bloom. They light up. They get bigger and bigger. All of these plants reaching out around all of you, starting to create this carpet of plants and vines and light as the whole ground starts to glow and starts to, these little, almost like fireflies, almost like little orbs start leaving the floor, leaving these creatures as their hands are shaking, almost as if they're cold or something very intense, as the season tree glows almost to gold, the leaves itself. The waterways, you notice, are starting to get rough, like the ocean. You see the ships sort of bobbing up and down where they're tied in place, but they're almost being upturned by how rough these waterways are getting. All of the lights start to dull. All of the lanterns, all of the magic man-made lanterns. The sky is growing darker. It's not pitch black, but from somewhere there is almost like a crack of thunder, like a rumble, and it's almost like it comes from the sky, from the smear in the sky, but it starts to shake, and you notice the ground around you is shaking as it's almost like the season tree splits in half, like when a tree gets struck by lightning and it starts to burn from the inside, and it starts to get bigger. It starts to grow and grow, and it's like it starts to split and then meld together again, and it starts to curve. The tree stretches and it rips. It grows taller, and the leaves and the branches start to curve around as if it's sprouting up and curving about. And it starts to form a door as what looks to be maybe once a very old ancient door, but it's now broken. It was once ornate, it was once beautiful, it was carved. And this door is huge. This is not a door for a man. This is starting to grow and tower larger than some of the buildings in Karnan as it grows. And there is a moment where you're watching the Guardians and their hands are shaking. And Tolan, can you all make me an intellect check, please?
I'm going to use an advantage and an edge.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do the same thing.
And yeah.
Okay. Reese, you look towards this door as it starts to grow higher and higher. You can see it's still like there's cracks in it, like it's burning from within. These vines starting to wrap around it, and you see that heat wave again, almost like that shimmer, where the air thins. And for a moment you see shadows and things walking all around you, as if walking around like the normal people of Karnan. And Paula, you feel Matthias grab your arm and take a step back, as if he's trying to pull you away, as you see the tree itself, as it forms into this huge door. You look down and your compass is whirring and it is spinning. But you can see that the door is shaking. It's like the ground starts to shake, as if it were something taking huge steps on the ground, shaking everything around it. And Tolan, you notice one of the Guardians turn their head to look at you, and you see for once an eye look back at you through this wooden mask, and you see fear. You see a lack of control. They're trying to prevent something, and almost in that instant, fingertips the size of flagstones burst through this door, through the cracks in what was the season tree, as these giant hands start to come through, as if they're trying to rip the door itself open. You see some of these Guardians drop to their knees, their hands now outreached, with this light sort of being projected towards this door. And as you look down at your feet, all of these vines, all of these flowers, they're starting to shrivel up. They're starting to blacken. They're starting to look like the scar. Is there anything any of you would like to do?
I want to look for Tuba.
Mm-hmm.
Paula would probably look towards Talon to see what Talon's gonna do. And
Tolan looking down, seeing this same effect that had happened in the scar, and knowing what did it, looks to Paula, looks to Reese, and especially looks to Matthias and goes, "They're draining magic. Whatever that is coming through the door, I think they were trying to hold it back. And their magic wasn't strong enough, and now it's draining them. It's draining all magic. Look, it's like the scar," as I point down, and I look to
looking
Matthias.
at his feet as well, and he sort of locks eyes with you for a moment.
And I said, "Run. Anyone who has an Inakwe, grab them and run."
We need to go. We need to, and like Polo, you feel Matthias start to drag you away from everything. He's pulling you back. Reese, you see Tuva stood there. Like for a moment, you see her look to you, sort of like your eyes meet. He's like, "I'd like to go now."
Run, Tuva.
And she turns on her heel and she is screaming at the rest of the people of Karnan, those that are locked in this awe of these huge hands that are trying to break through this door, telling people to run. Some aren't. She's grabbing some of them and just tugging on them as she charges away. And there is a moment where people are looking at this. It's like they snap out of it. Some run, some don't. And Reese, what do you do? Do you turn and run?
Nope, we're gonna do something really stupid, but it feels appropriate.
I like stupid and appropriate.
So, even though all his stuff is in his bag at Jonathan and Ricard's, he still has that knife in his sleeve, and he just flicks it out, blade down, and he looks at Astrid, and he's just like, "Let's go," and he sprints at these giant fingers trying to push open this door.
Yeah, you sprint towards this door. Tolan, you see this. Paula, Matthias has got like an arm around your shoulders. Are you resisting or?
I'm going to, try to pull him off and say, "You run. I don't have an Inakwe."
He's like, "I don't think so. We're gonna get to," and without a moment, you see this massive splinter of wood. I need you to roll a speed as this splinter of this door, this part of the season tree, comes firing out towards you.
Advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, speed defense.
Okay. Yes, please.
Okay. And also advantage.
You see this this huge splinter. It's not even a splinter. It might be on the size for this door, but this is almost like a plank of wood comes crashing out. You see Reese sort of duck underneath it as it comes hurling towards you. You pull Matthias out of the way, if anything. You drag him down to the floor as this comes skimming across you. You hear Tuva's voice yelling to get people moving, and Matthias sort of looks at you, he's like, "No, it's too dangerous here," and he sort of grabs you, and you feel that heat again as the wings unfurl, and he just starts running and sprinting with you, and you slowly feel your feet leave the ground. Tollem, you are seeing these guardians drop.
So I'm going to do something stupid as well.
Yay!
Actually, I'm hoping I'm doing something very clever. So, due to our wonderful chat folks, I got a thing from the table.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a disruptor.
It is.
It has a 24-hour duration. Every time you strike a solid creature or object, it does damage. But the big thing it does, it makes it lose its next action. I would like to use Improvise, Tolan, as he runs towards this door, to basically overload this thing and put 24 hours of every time you strike something to try to shove it into this portal, this doorway, whatever, I know it might not stop it, but to try to buy time to save some of the Guardians and also save as many people with Inakwe as I can.
Okay.
So I've got a burn 3 because burn 3 for improvise, which
Yeah.
So I have to burn 3 for that. I definitely want to. I assume that what do I need to roll to see if I can make this work?
I'm going to say I will let you roll either a might or a speed check, purely to get there and put it in. But you can use either.
Okay, I will actually use. Let me see because I think I've got. I am going to use might because I actually also I'm physically resistant and have might defense. So just as I'm going up there, if that helps out with my roll, I certainly am going to spend an effort and an advantage. I assume it's an asset because I'm physically resistant because of Tolan being an old shaper. I need to spend 2 out of that pool, and I'm going to use an advantage. Oh my God. 16. Thank you, chat, for advantage.
So, you and Reese start running. You almost lock eyes as you're running together. You realize you're at the same pace. And Reese, you can see Tolan sprinting for the same location you are. As these huge hands, you can see this wooden door splintering underneath these fingertips as they dig into this bark, ripping. And on the other side, all you can see is this burning light, almost like a fire on the other side. And the Guardians are sort of dropping one by one as you both sprint in between them. You see Astrid jump over one of them as you're running at almost exactly the same time. Describe it for me as you both hit it at the same time. What are you both doing?
I think Tolan is sort of looking down. He's running as fast as he can, but he's sort of looking down and just using his, twisting things and parts of it and basically just shorting out whatever type of magical battery is inside of it. And to get it so that it's just going to basically explode, and almost probably in a similar type of action. If you've got your dagger up and going in, just go to stab it sort of right between the 2 hands. If there's any sort of like a shimmering of a portal or that wherever it's coming from, to try to disrupt that pathway to it or slow it down or collapse it somewhat just to get more time, is what Tolan is doing.
And what is Reese doing as you see Astrid also launch herself over the tops of these falling Guardians?
I think Reese is running and he leaps and he tries to put the dagger in between the door where that fire is, and he just lunges through the air as hard as he can. He doesn't have a lot of skills, but he sure as hell isn't going to run away.
Okay. At the point you both strike, there's this chaos around you, these people screaming. Some are running, some aren't. Some people are staring in disbelief. Paula, you have sort of come off the ground, and you can see that Matthias is sort of holding onto you, trying to weave in between people to get out. You can see Tuva sort of right beside you as she's running, and you hear this almost like a mighty explosion, like this crack like thunder, as Reese and Tolan strike at the same time. Reese and Tolan, you glance up at each other for a moment, and you look into this door. For a split second, you see a huge eye blink, and almost these glows of blues and strange shapes as this flash takes place, and there is an explosion. You feel both of yourselves thrown back, almost by it feels like air, but it feels hot, but it feels staticky, almost like this magic wave throws you in opposite directions to each other. And Paula, you feel it too, because Matthias, you can see completely lose balance and almost head over heels flips, dragging you with him. You see Tuva get thrown from this Silvis as she goes skidding along the pathway, hitting one of the walls to the side. You see her sort of frown as this enormous wave hits you both. And there is an explosion, a shatter of wood. And Tolan, Reese, and Paula, you sit up slowly. There is no season tree. It's gone. It is debris. There are splinters. You can see the leaves sort of slowly drift down, some on fire. Those big hands are gone. And Tolan, you in particular, as you sort of lay there, you all hurt. You feel like you've had the wind knocked out of you. You've hit sort of walls. And Reese, you managed to sort of not end up in the waterways, because Astrid is sort of when you managed to grab hold of her scruff as she sort of holds herself in place. And Tolan, you sit there, pushing yourself up. And there's a moment where you lock eyes with that guardian again. And from head to toe, it slowly starts to disintegrate. Like ash getting caught on the wind, almost being caught up. And you see all of them, one after the other, disappearing, slowly returning back to the sky. And you sense that fear again, almost like a sadness, as you see one of them sort of almost like take its last breath before just woof, into ash, as everything starts to disappear. And that is where we'll leave Dunera this week. So, season tree's gone. Yeah. So everyone, hi, thank you for coming in and all of your donations. It really adds to the story. Also, please check out the links coming up in chat now. That includes our Twitter, our Discord, and also YouTube. So if you have missed out on anything at all, you can head over to YouTube and go and catch up there, or just binge watch if you want to. Also a huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors in the form of Hero Forge. You will have seen some of the minis that we have made and the load screen, and also during the break. Also the wonderful The Deck of Many with their moving spell cards, and also Humblewood, which is seriously wholesome. And last but certainly not least, Mage Hand Press with Dark Matter. It's a fabulous book. If you like D&D and you like space, that's what this is, so go for it. Otherwise, keep evoking emotions, and I'll see you next week.
Sub to Alice's Patreon that we forgot to shout out earlier.
Alice's Patreon!
Do it!